what you see, it was either created by my daughters or by friends. This was created by my youngest daughter. She has an army of these. They come in and they meet her, and they always say, "Oh, my grandmother was Polish and she was just like her," or "Oh, my grandmother was Jewish and she was just like her." I'm like, yeah, you fit every nationality.
I decided helping my son, and that's not for me really. But I enjoy so much here with the people every day and cooking. My recipe, it's a really old recipe from my grandma, from my mom, and the other one was old when I married, and we would change so many churches, and there's a sisterhood from the church, and I was cooking with them, and I was just taking some recipe from them, and that was all those recipes. They come back here, first of all, it's a good food, because we treat everybody equal, same, and everybody is welcome here.
Our father's name is Gordana, and he's the only one that wasn't involved in the cafe, but we wanted to involve him anyway, because we felt like, oh, he should be part of it, right? And so then my brother said, they used to have a landscaping business in California, and it was called Bud's Gardening and Landscaping. Yeah, and in church people called him Bud all the time. And so my brother said, I think we should do that. I think we should call it blah, blah, blah. And he came up with this idea. I was like, it sounds pretty. Why not? And that's it. Although we've had some people say, oh no, you should call it Mama Jovana's Cafe because she's so popular. So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it'll be a Red Bud Cafe, home of Mama Jovana. You know, one of the more like exotic strands of marijuana, Red Bud. So on the business card we have like, oh, we have Australian food, we have this food, we have that food, and then in very small print we say, and no, we're not a medical marijuana establishment. Every 6 months or so we feature a new artist. So we try to do that too. We try to feature artists, local artists. And then here we have a little bit of a collage, again, of everywhere where we've lived. So there's Trieste, which is Italy, which is where we lived, and my brother was born. Melbourne, Australia, where we lived. And there's my baba, my grandma, in the traditional national costume. And then there's a little picture here of my father and I when I was little. My mom in the village up there. So we have little I guess vignettes of everywhere where we've lived or what we liked ourselves, and that's the reason that we make crepes, because that was always our favorite when we were children. Every time that my mom would make crepes, we'd like rejoice as if it was Christmas. So we're like, you know, we want to make that because it brings joy. If we can make it happen, we'll adapt to your taste buds. So the menu is kind of only a guide. It's not set in stone. So I started out my professional career as a graphic designer, and eventually I became an art director, and I worked in New York and San Francisco. But in 2008, I moved to Australia, and in Australia, I was applying for a job, and in my portfolio, I had some written pieces as well. And they said, oh, so you write? And I said, well, yeah, but that's not my main job. My main job is creating magazines and things like that. And they said, no, we want you to write. And I got the job on that premise that I had to write. And then from there, it evolved and evolved and evolved, and now I'm a journalist. And graphic design I only do sometimes. But I write mostly about property portals or auto portals or jobs portals. So for example, there's a Russian property portal that's called mesto.ru, and so we write about those kind of things and say, I don't know, John Smith was just a assigned a CEO position at such and such company. And so we write his biography and we write an interview and so on. So pretty much like what you're doing, only for property, jobs, and auto. I was born in Bosnia and we speak Serbian, and then my parents left, they immigrated to Italy, so I picked up Italian, and then I married a Colombian, so I picked up Spanish, and I lived in the US, so I learned English, and then the other ones are just, I'm curious, I like languages, so I speak fluently the way that I speak English. I speak 4, but I speak another 4 enough that I can communicate and ask for like a restaurant or, you know, so just enough. We say in Serbian, we say enough so that no one can sell me. This is our wall of love. My eldest daughter came up with the concept. She wanted to feature love because there's so much, you know, ugliness in the world, and she said, I want to dedicate a wall to love. So what she's done is she picked out some famous movies and some not so famous movies where there's love scenes. Romeo and Juliet, and then there's some Korean dramas. Each table is dedicated to a part of the world that we either lived in or that we're from. So there's a table dedicated to Serbia, there's a table dedicated to Italy, and you'll notice that there's an actor that is famous from India. He's Kabir Bedi. When I was a child in Italy, Kabir Bedi was a superstar, and he did a mini series in Italy, and anyway, boys wanted to be Sandokan, who was Kabir Bedi, and girls wanted to date Sandokan. So there's Italy, and then we have Australia here, because we lived in Australia as well. And then there's paintings that are either influenced by the countries where we lived in or where we were from. There's the actor Anthony Quinn. He was half Mexican, half Irish, but he played Jewish characters, Arabs, Italians, and so on. He said, I'm a man of the universe. And I really identified with that because I'm Serbian, but I was raised in Italy, but I speak Spanish, but I lived in Australia. So I'm a woman of the universe, right? We look frightened, but that's because my dad said that if we blinked when they took the picture, a sword would come out and cut our eyes out.